Today we announce a set of outcomes in relation to the independent panel investigation into allegations of inappropriate conduct at the Hawthorn Football Club. I want to say that from the moment the Hawthorn Football Club's Bin Mada report was leaked, without any opportunity for input from the persons against whom serious allegations were made, it has been a period of high distress for all parties. The AFL wishes to reiterate and acknowledge the significant emotional toll it's taken on everyone affected by this complex and delicate situation. Those who told their stories and those who stood accused, and the public nature of how it has played out since late September last year. With this backdrop, any investigation was going to be challenging. We believe strongly, as we did in setting up the independent investigation in October 2022, that the appointment of an independent panel is and was the best possible way to deal with these serious allegations. The AFL thanks panel chairman Bernard Quinn KC and panel members Tim Goodwin, Jacqueline Turfrey and Julie Buxton for their work over the last 7 months. The purpose of the independent panel investigation was to investigate relevant matters and make recommendations to the AFL, including as to whether any persons should be the subject of disciplinary action for breach of AFL rules, and the resolution today should be viewed through that lens. The AFL is only able to impose sanctions for breaches of AFL rules on persons subject to the AFL rules, and that respects the right of the various parties to the investigation and those who decided not to participate to pursue claims in other legal forums. Our outcomes today do not interfere with those rights. Today, the AFL and the 6 complainants who took part in the process, with the endorsement of the independent panel, including panel chairman Bernard Quinn KC, have resolved as follows. No adverse findings have been made in the independent investigation against any of the individuals against whom allegations have been made. The complainants wish to resolve all differences with the AFL. As a result of this agreement, the complainants do not wish to pursue the independent panel investigation, which they wholeheartedly supported, or make any claims against the AFL in any other process, including the Australian Human Rights Commission or court in relation to their allegations. The complainants agree that the allegations that they have made should not be further investigated by the independent panel. The AFL has now terminated the independent panel investigation with no charges to be brought against any person subject to the AFL rules as a result of the independent investigation. The agreement today does not preclude the complainants from taking other action or preclude the AFL from bringing a charge under AFL rules against Hawthorn Football Club with respect to the commissioning and oversight of the Bin Mada report. The AFL acknowledges each one of the complainants feels hurt, pain and anguish following their time at Hawthorn, and the parties acknowledge that the manner in which their allegations were leaked to the media was not in any party's best interests. The AFL greatly values all players and officials in our game and commits to working with all clubs and all its people to continually improving the environments and ensuring they are welcoming, supportive and understanding of everyone who comes to our game. There have been hundreds of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander players who played our game and who have collectively played more than 25,000 games. The AFL knows that during the long history of our game there have been instances of racism and that players have been marginalised, hurt or discriminated against because of their race. And for that we say sorry. The AFL further commits to devoting significantly increased resources to its continuous improvement model focused on measures to combat racism and the improvement of culturally safe First Nations players and their families in the AFL and AFLW. We are wholeheartedly dedicated to meeting our obligations to make the game stronger and safer for all players, and we understand that requires us to continually address our structures and systems, and to this end the AFL agrees to undertake a series of initiatives as listed in the media release. This is an imperfect resolution, and I want to reiterate that the way this report emerged has led to being a period of high distress for all parties, and sure it was always going to be difficult to find an outcome. Again, I want to acknowledge the significant emotional toll it's taken on everyone affected by this complex and delicate situation. Let me take questions.
Bill, on what basis could you pursue charges against Hawthorn? I'm asking what rule does that come under?
Well, that'll be a decision for the General Counsel and or the Commission, but obviously there's a broad range of rules, whether it be conduct unbecoming or bring the game into disrepute or whatever it is. I'm not preempting it, but I'm certainly not ruling that out.
And given that this has dragged on for 8 months, is this something that you would fast track so if you don't have this drawn out any further?
Yeah, I think that'll be something that's done in a reasonably expeditious manner.
Did you say that the parties wish to resolve matters with the AFL? Have they been resolved?
Yes.
Does this resolve them?
It does with the AFL, yes.
Financial components to resolving these?
No, there is no financial component to this.
Does the AFL support the complainants taking this to the federal court?
We support all parties doing what they want to do from here. I'm not making a comment whether they should or should not. We were supportive of any action that individuals would want to take forward.
Do you expect that to happen from both sides of this situation?
I'm not going to preempt or make comment on that, Damo. I think that this has been a very difficult period for everyone involved. I think that it's one of the more challenging things that I've seen in the game, and I just want to acknowledge the pain and the toll of all involved. And I'd go back to this report being leaked in the way it was, and there was always going to be a difficult period ahead, and the pain that's been experienced by everyone who's been a part of this, I want to acknowledge it.
Is there scope to investigate the Zach story? Does the AFL have any plans to look at that?
I think, again, I'm comfortable to say that Zach wasn't a party to this. I think the people that, if the people want things looked at, they need to be able to be comfortable telling their story, and if there's something that needs to be looked at, we would, but we don't have anything in front of us.
Gillon, the result that there's no charges against 3 individual respondents, have you spoken with them, and are they comfortable with this settlement? I mean, you've acknowledged hurt to the people who
Yes.
made the claims, but you've not acknowledged...
I've acknowledged hurt more substantively of all involved in this, claimants and defendants, Michael. Not in what I released, and that's the defendants are not a party to this, but more broadly, there's been hurt everywhere, and I want to acknowledge that.
With regard to the referencing of the Hawthorn undecided element, what specifically is it that you may look at?
I think that the process whereby allegations were aired without anybody having the ability to respond to them has provided an environment where there has been many parties, complainants and the defendants, put in a hugely vulnerable situation, and it's had an impact across the industry for, all First Nations people and others, and I think that's something that needs to be contemplated.
So if with the Hawthorn, if Hawthorn is to, be charged under...
Yeah, and I'm not saying that, I'm just saying there's nothing about this.
I'm saying, I'm not putting words in your mouth, I'm
Yes.
just asking the question. If they are to be charged under some umbrella rule, would that be a monetary penalty? Could it be points? Could it be...
I'm not prejudging anything, Tony. The point I made was this resolution today doesn't preclude that, and certainly doesn't say that it's not definitive that it would happen. It's just being clear.
How can the independent panel make these findings, having not interviewed the coaches?
The independent panel has got a whole series of documents, other pieces with them. They actually endorse a resolution. This is a resolution today that was stimulated by a request from the complainants for mediation. There's a whole series of documents that are with the panel. It's a resolution that's been worked through with the AFL and the complainants, and it's been endorsed by the independent panel chairman, given all the stuff he has in front of him. Sorry, the panel represented through the chairman.
It's also not endorsed by the individual respondents.
They're not a party to it, no.
You call this an imperfect resolution. What's a desirable outcome?
I think it's an outcome that gives certainty for the defendants that there are no adverse findings, and it's been given a process that has been endorsed by the complainants where they feel heard. Part of this is people who have historically feel hurt and anguish, which I acknowledge, providing a forum for them to be heard, and that's happened through this as well.
With the formation of the independent panel, with hindsight, would you or could you, AFL, have done it any differently?
I've thought about that a lot, Damo. I feel there's pieces here and there you could do, but I think an independent body was the right panel here with the appropriate composition of diversity and skill sets. And I think it's been a long process, but they were very serious allegations. And I think today, at least, we have a resolution where there is a resolution where the defendants have been cleared of breaching the AFL rules in an agreement with the complainants and endorsed by the independent panel chairman. And we also have complainants who endorse the process and feel heard through it. And I think in the end, from where we were, I feel as difficult and imperfect as it is, it's a situation that actually has brought this thing to a head.
If you could got line of sight on what was in the Hawthorn report, before it was given to you or the manner it was given to you, what would you have said that needed to happen before you would get involved?
If I'd seen it before, just to clarify again.
Before it was given to you, in the manner in which it was given to you, without a right of reply to the three people who were facing allegations?
I'll widen it out, Damon, to say that I think, one of the learnings is that reports might get commissioned, but they need to be living, breathing documents and that change with different facts and different circumstances. And I think the construct needed to evolve and be fluid given the seriousness of the allegations that emerged through it.
Just to clarify, have there been any payments to the complainants at all?
No, zero.
Who will conduct the investigation now into the Hawthorn complainants?
That'll be led by the General Counsel, Stephen Mead.
Right. That's last one, Sam.
Will Andrew Newbold, he stay on the commission?
He's an AFL Commissioner.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone. Sorry it's late.